Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grumman Pilot's YouTube channel. And today we're looking back to 1997 Sun and Fun. And this will be part 1 and part 2. It's kind of long, but it's actual video, so you get to hear everything that went on in the Grumman tent. So please enjoy this and stay tuned. So we would like to ask you please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notify to stay current with our content.
I'd like to welcome everybody here to I don't know what annual one this is. Stuart, how many of these things we've been doing?
I don't know, Al Bob's been doing it for many a year. I'd say it's at least 4 or 5.
Okay, well we tend to do this every year, so we hope we'll see you back here again. I've got a few things on my agenda to talk over with you. One is, in February, I sent out, this is the latest newsletter, went out February 5th, for the Southeast region, listing the fly-ins and events that were coming up. If you did not get one and want one, I have extra copies up here. One person told me, oh, I lost mine, and I'd like to get another one, so if you belong to that set of people too, and I frequently do that myself, we do have extra copies up here at the front. We have several events coming up. We've already had some wonderful fly-ins. We had one in Pensacola, March 14th and 15th, run by Jim and Sandy Baker. Give them a wave, Jim, Sandy. Yeah, they had a really good one. I don't know if you... How many like that fly at Pensacola? So a few hands up here. Well, if you miss that one, make sure you try to do it next year if you can, right, Jim? I'm going to do it again. That was just a wonderful fly-in. We've got a very interesting fly-in coming up soon. It will be coming up on May 1, 2, 3, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's going to start at Beaufort, and then over. So it started over. Thank you for the correction. Sure. And then it will be continuing up to first flight K-Hawk. And this is a pretty interesting one. The guy that's running it is apparently new to running member. He's really enthusiastic about this fly-in. He's got simulator time and 3 different types of simulators. C-130, a Harrier. I'm not sure what the 3rd one is, but people want to actually fly that simulator. They've got room for 15 people, and that's going to happen on the Friday on May 1st. People that are flying are going to tour the entire Cherry Point Marine Aviation Station, the tower, all the flight line, and we'll be able to find out all about that. Yeah, the historic tour lined up. And then the fly-in is going to proceed on Sunday, coastline to K-Hawk. So that's going to be a pretty neat fly-in. I was really looking forward to going to that one until my wife Heidi, who works for IBM, she's had such a wonderful year this year that they gave her IBM's top award, which is called the Golden Circle, and they're going to fly us both to Hawaii at the same time. So, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer. I won't be there for that fly, I wish I would, but I'm on the way to Hawaii. Last year we ran a fly-in at Cedar Key for the first time. Everybody had such a good time at that before they were leaving, they were saying, you got to run this again next year, and we were going to do that. Cedar Key's coming up May 30th to the 31st. If you have intentions to go to that fly-in, I recommend that you call and get reservations early, because they tend to fill up on the weekends there. And I'm looking forward to running that one again. That was a great fly. The one is scheduled, but still in the planning stages, is Key West, Florida, June 13th and 14th. And That one's just pretty rough right now, but anybody who wants to go down Key West and tour Duval Street and the classic bars and all those kinds of things, the Sunset Celebration is being to see it at Valerie Square and the pier there. So we're gonna set that one up too. It takes people who are willing to volunteer to keep these kinds of things going and the organization going. It's really not all that difficult to help host one of these tie-ins. And if you are sitting out there and think you might want to help, I notice on this survey on the back side that there is a place where you can fill out that you would like to host or assist hosting all these clients. If you have any information for us, any desires or places you would like to go see us go for clients or things to do, please make sure you fill that out on the back side and get your input in. You don't have to host these, but we are looking for ideas. We'd like to do as much as we can. Have make plans and have you go where you want to go. The front side of the survey that you have in your hands now, should have, this is a project that I'm starting that I'd like to see the AYA do. It's going to take a while to pull it together. But as a regional director, I frequently get calls for someone that wants a recommendation of a mechanic in a certain area. Usually I'm unfamiliar, so I have to refer people to maybe other AYA in that area. But I would like to start compiling a list of membership recommended mechanics, avionics shops, and paint shops, and that's why that survey is out there. That is not to say that the AYA is going to recommend those shops. We can't do that really officially as an organization. That's not to say that you might a shop where someone had a good experience, the next guy along may not have such a good experience. But if we find shops that you are recommending, a lot of people recommend that shop, I think it would be good to have that list available where if you need a mechanic or a paint shop or an avionics shop, you can at least have some information from members who have had quality work and good experience down there. So this is the start of that, and it will probably take a good little while to pull all this together, but this is the start. So I appreciate whatever information you can give us. You may have no phone numbers, may have no street addresses or things like that. Give us what information you can. I'll follow up on it as much as I can. Okay, anyone have any questions so far for me as your Southeast Region Director? Okay, I'll be around if you have some copies. Yes, sir.
Area here. What situation is it right here?
The only information I have is secondhand information, and I understand that Randy has leukemia. He's
on chemo. He's on chemo.
Okay, y'all. He's on chemo.
Yeah.
He's not fine that he's a bit.
On my phone, he's fine anyway, but it's not a good help.
Well, since last year, that's just one of the people that we're missing. We're missing Bob Dillon, who right after our Cedar Key flying developed a degenerative nerve disease and down one leg. And he was laid up, still is, working on rehabilitation. That's why I became the Southeast Director. He asked me to do that because he just couldn't do it anymore. And he's not able to fly yet, but we hope to see him back and flying and back with the organization sometime in the future. I'm sure there are others of us that were here last year that are not able to be here this year. And I hope you hold those people in your thoughts, have a kind thought for them. We need to do that.
Please talk. Back in Florida, we've got several board members, I guess. They might be doing Jacksonville
Right.
Does anybody say anything?
Not yet. That's one of the things that's on my agenda to try to get area representatives who want to do things that are functional. We've had some active others who have not been doing much, and that may be because they're just at a point in their life where they can't do that. That happened to me a few years ago when I was center coordinator for Florida, and I was at a point in my life where I was too busy to do anything. So anyway, anybody up in the north area of Florida, if you would like that kind of function, come talk to me. Or if you're in another area that you'd like to take on that kind of responsibility, it doesn't take a whole lot of work to be an area coordinator. It really certainly helps us out. Anything else? I'll turn it back over to you.
Hopefully by now everybody has received a ticket. Is that not true to anyone? Maybe some waiting rivals in the back there? Okay. We'll get each of you a ticket. Hang on to this ticket because at the end of our session today, about the last 15 minutes, we have been given a pile of neat Grumman things to give away. Courtesy of Ken Blackman at Air Miles Northwest, and also courtesy of Fletcher in Houston, Texas. So don't lose your ticket. One other item that I wanted to bring up for those of you who may want to find other avenues of information about the AYA. I think those of you who are currently members will quickly agree that the American Star is just a fabulous resource for us, and it provides a vast amount of information on operations and maintenance issues, parts sources, alternate parts, just a variety of things to help us all out. In addition to that, there are also some websites that are available to help us. And certainly the AYA has a website. There's also a chat group. Ken, I think we're ready to turn this over to you. Good morning. Well, I decided to come down and thaw out and see how this half lived. Had a nice videotape that was going to show on, I prefer to call a resurrection rather than a restoration of a Yankee. Some of you may have seen it. It was the one I used at Bowling this summer. And I wanted the tape. The TV didn't show up, so I guess we'll just talk about it and about a few other things. The aircraft that is on it was built in 1969, serial number 259 Yankee, and there's a little bit of history about it. There was a place at Payne Field in Everett, Washington in the early 70s that operated 3 Yankees, a Mooney, and a 310 on the flight line. And I got my commercial license there. I owned the 310, unfortunately. And came the Moonies and the 3 Yankees. There was a green one, a red one, and an orange one. The green one bit the dust, I guess the red one bit the dust first. The student pilot drove it through a fence at Arlington, Washington. It got behind the power curve. The guy bought it, and the wreckage of it made a wood trailer cockpit out of the fuselage. Gave in the parts that was left over on the thing. And at that time, I owned a Yankee, the 4th interest in the Yankee, which was my kind of responsible for getting involved in this mess. The green one got out off the end of the runway a year or so after that, hopefully in Washington, and we wound up in the Granny, and I found it set with a hangar down in Oregon one time, and got it pretty cheap for basically hauling it off, because the thing had some salt damage and hadn't been properly cared for. It was hauled up pretty good. Well, the third one, the orange one, was still surviving. It heated out already for a few years and went to California. And I think it was 1983 that somebody called up. They had a Yankee that had a nose gear knocked out from under it and wanted to sell it. And my partner and I wound up buying it. And I called it up, and that was the orange one of the 3. So we started a rebuild project on it, which took about 15 years. It was one of those things that got worked on once in a while when we didn't have anything else to do. And gradually, we'd go furious on it for a week or two, and then get on other projects that's set for 6 or 8 months. We'd go furious for a month and set it for 2 years, this type of thing. I know you've all probably got projects like that around. Well, finally, we got the thing pretty well. It was about 85% complete. The guy actually stepped up late and committed to buy it, so it took us about almost a year after that to totally complete it. And so you probably heard that it went out the door for about $67,000 for an American Yankee. Virtually a brand new airplane. And we were bought, except the tail magnet that we knew how to do to it. A few of them we invented on the way. And what a beautiful airplane. Unfortunately, it's back on our hangar right now, getting about a $10,000 repair job done. The guy hit a microburst and got slammed over the runway and dug up a little bit of asphalt with the prop. And didn't do too much damage to it, but a couple of unique things that I'd never seen before. He actually, the force enough, the engine went forward and down, and it drew the top legs of the engine mount inward and actually sucked in the engine mount extrusions without pulling them loose from those sidewalls. It didn't crack them at all, but you could see. In fact, we didn't even know it until after the thing had been fed to the shop. We got to looking at it, and you catch it in the light just right, you can see a little dip on the inside. We started measuring, and it was like 5/32 of an inch narrower at the top than it was at the bottom. And it's an interesting repair. I've got DER coming in. We can get back on it. But since it didn't tear anything loose, we got in there with a porta power and very carefully pressed it back out. The crossbar that bonded to the firewall across there was puckered on each side. So we released that, straightened that out. I'm having an extrusion milled to fit, just fit inside of that all the way across, and pick up 2 bolts on each side. Where it normally bolts in to essentially as a sticker, and I'll have a cherry max rivets across the top and the bottom. And then just for safety's sake, I put a cherry max rivets in the engine mount extrusions and tack them in. And it's come out of the part, if you get in the light, you can still see a little bit of a dip in there, so we're actually going to do a little bit of filler on it. But it was amazing. It didn't tear loose. It's the first time I've ever seen that type of damage where it didn't actually rip the extrusions out. But anyway, since I can't talk too much about that one, well, I will talk about it a little bit. I was asked to speak on resurrections, as I said, restorations. There are all levels of any subject anybody gets into, whether you call it refurbishing, restoration, or it's just like engine overhauls. I mean, there's overhauls and overhauls, and then there's overhauls. And they can range everything from tear it apart, put it back together, and paint it, to replace virtually everything but the case on an engine. Same way with restoring an aircraft. I consider a restoration the case where the aircraft has been virtually completely disassembled. I'm talking about the carry-through spar has been out, the landing gear, of course, completely off. You've looked at every crack, cranny in the airframe for any corrosion, fixed anything you found, repaired any damaged, replaced any parts that were damaged, and restored the ones that weren't damaged. And down to the part, all the little aluminum parts, we beat blast them, etch them out, them, and we're going to paint them and then put them back together. And that's the way the whole airplane was built. A refurbishment, I consider more when the airplane was not taken completely apart. It was, the wings were probably off, or they should have been off. The peripheral was taken off and everything inspected, but you didn't necessarily, just because it was bolted there and it wasn't corroded or anything, you didn't take it off and repaint it and put it back on anyway. And that's where I kind of draw the line to do is between a refurbishment and a restoration. Anything less than I would say probably 50% disassembly, which I can figure a refurbishment should have. Where parts are painted individually, then everything's put back together. Anything less than that, I hate to hear somebody say, this is a refurbished airplane. It was a fixed-up airplane. It's been painted, it's been whatever. So, when you go on the market to look for an aircraft like that, and you see the ads, and it says refurbished or so many cents overhaul, this, that, and the other, it's all in the eyes of the beholder or the describer exactly what they're talking about, and it's just a little advice there. If you're looking at buying the aircraft, figure out exactly what was done, ask for photographs, videotapes, nobody had that apart. Nobody probably, took documentation so that they can prove what they did. We'll talk just a little bit about parts. A lot of scuttles out on, the Chinese in West Virginia are going to be putting the airplane back in production, and we're going to have parts again. I hope we wait around and hope I win that show. I hate to say it, my personal opinion on that, since one of the same guys was involved, it was in the AGAC, is that it may not turn out to be a whole lot different, or even as successful as AGAC was. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they come in there and somebody makes a good aircraft that provides parts. The other thing is, if and when they do provide parts, look for them to be quite expensive, because unlike AGAC, they didn't have a whole bunch of parts inherited from the previous to sell and hand out which most of the spares AGAC sold were purchased with the thing from Grumman. That stuff was all sold at auction. So this is a fresh start. Everything would be brand new at full-tail price. I had one of the things that's probably the highest asked about item in recent history. It has been for quite some time. It just gets more and more so as we age for the aircraft. The aircraft age with us, I don't know how should I say that. The cowlings. The cowlings for these aircraft, they just don't exist anymore. Be it 2-place or 4-place. Even if you've got an AG-5B, I think you're worse off than anybody, because they didn't make any extras of those. And I started looking into doing the replacement fiberglass or composite cowlings quite a number of years ago, and before AGAC ever came and went. And it's a costly venture. Dumped quite a lot of money into prototype stuff that never happened. So that's kind of turned off on dumping more money into it after you've crushed a bit down the job. We're in the industry now is doing very, very good making cowlings for pipers, and he's not only got some experience with these airplanes. In fact, he designed that cowling that's on your Tiger and Cheetah, one of the Presty. And 3 years ago, I started to do a thing that we never followed through with, and he and I were discussing a co-venture on putting together something that he would help design and possibly, in the development and the manufacturing now, but he's more set up to do that now. They were just trying to scramble enough eggs to keep going, to take care of the private business at that time. I talked to Mike about half an hour this morning, and he's very anxious to get together for an hour or so, probably tomorrow, and we're going to be discussing the use of coming up with something that's the 4-place and the 2-place cowlings. Hopefully it'll be something we put on. We don't expect it to be cheap by any means. But from the standpoint that if that metal cowling were available today, even made on the tooling, it still exists somewhere. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, We had a quote from the company that had possession of that tool and bid. If they could take that tool and use it and build that counter again, our cost would be approximately $10,000. So today that would probably be $12,000 to $15,000, especially if they had to make the tooling again, because I don't know if that tooling ever made it out of Wichita. And that was the drop hammer, the drop forging stuff. From that standpoint, possibly, a $5,000 to $7,000 replacement complete counting, that sounds, pretty reasonable. And I'm afraid that's what we'd be, on the areas we'd be looking at. At least that's what we were talking about 3 years ago before. Other fiberglass parts, has anybody got a cooler can other than Stu? Okay. Stu and I were talking about the fairings around your cell fairings and your wing root fairings and this type of stuff. I've got one complete set of brand new stuff that I have hoarded, except the only thing I don't have is a set of the good little tail covers, for your ELT and strokes. And I have to make them from scratch. But I'm also going to talk to Roy about the possibility of reproducing those. I've had a couple of quotes on it, and the prices were just too scary to think about. I've got an aircraft to fit them on, if somebody can come in with that way they can make sure that they fit right. You can't just take a part, splash a mold off of it, pull a part off of it, and expect it to fit the airplane. You need to have that part of the airplane to stabilize that thing while you take the mold off of it for it to come out well shape. And then you have to stress it to get it on. And that was a problem with one fiberglass dorsal fin that was available many years ago. The thing took off at about a 45-degree angle out the back, and you draw the thing in, the gel coat cracked. And I guess at this point, if anybody's got any questions they'd like to pitch up, be able to talk about it, since I kind of had to change horses in midstream here. Yes.
I got a little bit unrelated question, but I'm not going to be here for the second hour, so now it's good time as any.
Sure.
We just assembled the nose gear on our Tiger to do some work on the wheel bearing.
Yep.
And it looked to me, based on the service manual, they didn't have those washers in there right. So we took our best shot at it, so I just wanted to confirm. We got two that appear to be thrust bearings. One that's thicker, one that's thin. And then we got two thin metal washers that appear to sandwich the three spring washers. So what happened was we found the two thrust bearings on the opposite sides of the spring washers. And then we found the two metal bearings where I think the thrust bearings should have been.
Yeah.
And we said, well, we don't think this is right, but I'm going to confirm. And the problem is you can't look at part numbers, because no part numbers on cards, they on the left and back. They came in when they were due. That's 14 years ago. No, I guess it was 21 years ago.
Time flies.
So, anyway, can you show me about reassembling that nose and how the washer should look like, and the thick one goes on the top and the bottom?
Okay, probably the most misunderstood, mistreated, and maladjusted, wrongfully assembled and abused part of these aircraft is what he's talking about. Okay. No, it's green, Bob. Greenwood. Okay, well, let's see if we can do this.
We're going to grade you on your artwork.
Oh, goody. Okay. In the first place, this is the spindle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the little tang that sticks out the front that hits your stop. Okay, there's a fillet on most of these, a kind of a soft material that's put in here, it's kind of wrapped up to there. Don't make the mistake like a lot of people do, is stripping that off and scratching it off. That's supposed to be there. It was an AD note. It had to be put on. If it wasn't on there, and once it's on there, it has to stay on. It's a kind of a, I don't know what the material is, but it's kind of a post-seal type stuff that seals this mount. This, by the way, goes on down inside of here so you understand how it's made. That's bonded on. So, they'll heat it up with the torch and it'll fall off. Okay, you got your, bolt sticking out the bottom. Now, your thrust washers, okay, the anatomy of this thing, you have an O-ring right here. Okay, your thrust washers go here. Normally there's only one. They make a thin one and a thick one. The objective is that when your fork comes up, the little cup in the fork just contacts the seal enough to keep dirt out, and it's enough to kind of drag the, you can see the O-ring want to move a little bit when you move it back and forth.
So we hope you found all this useful and informative looking back to 1997 at Sun and Fun. Enjoyed hearing Ken again. Thanks for watching. Freckles, our cat supervisor, and we'd like to introduce the new cats to you. We have Hopscotch there on the left. The other small ginger is Tarzan. He came with that name, and his sister will be popping up in just a second, and her name is Sweet Pea. These are the new cats that we've adopted into our home. It's going to be a nice little family, and we're having a ball. Thanks for watching.